Hi, my name is Quinn. I'm a math professor at Broward College. In this video, we will discuss how to calculate regular monthly mortgage payments using either a table or a formula. A home loan for which the property is pledged as security is an example of a mortgage. Assuming that the loan is made with a fixed interest rate, the initial principal balance together with interest due on the loan is usually repaid to the lender through regular monthly payments. This process of paying down the loan and interest with regular monthly payments is called amortizing the loan. Let's find the regular monthly payment necessary to amortize a $320,000 loan at 6% annual interest for 30 years using two different methods. The first method will be to use a table of monthly payments. The second method will be to use the regular monthly payment formula. For the first method, we will refer to a table of monthly payments which shows the monthly payments required to repay the principal and interest on a $1,000 mortgage for various annual rates and various terms of the mortgage. Lenders use tables like this one. Since the monthly payment we're calculating is based on a mortgage loan calculated at 6% annual interest for 30 years, we will find the row of the table that displays 6% interest and the column that displays 30 years. We see that if our mortgage were for only $1,000, the payment would be $5.99551 each month. Next, we need to determine how many $1,000 loans it would take to add up to $320,000. In other words, we divide $320,000 by 1,000. That's 320. Finally, we multiply 320 times $5.99551, rounding to the nearest cent at the end of the calculation. So the monthly payment necessary to amortize a $320,000 loan is $1,918.56. The principal and the interest would be paid off in 30 years, making this monthly payment. Let's see if we come to the same conclusion using the regular monthly payment formula. In this formula, uppercase R refers to the regular monthly payment. Lowercase r refers to the annual interest rate in decimal form. T refers to the term of the loan in years. And P is the amount of the principal. We know that R is 0.06 because the annual interest rate is 6%. We know that T is 30 years. And P is $320,000. Now we need to plug in and evaluate the formula on our calculators. Plugging in, we have 320,000 times 0.06 divided by 12 in the numerator, and 1 minus the quantity 12 over 12 plus 0.06 raised to the power of 12 times 30 in the denominator. Before we start plugging this into a calculator, we should simplify anything we can easily simplify, like 12 times 30 and 12 plus 0.06. to reduce the amount of steps we need to enter into our calculator. 12 times 30 is 360. 12 plus 0.06 is 12.06. Neither of these operations required rounding. It's important not to perform any calculations that require rounding off because we always need to leave rounding to the last step to avoid round-off errors. When I plug this expression into the calculator, I'm going to use a fact of mathematics that you might have forgotten. That is that dividing by a number is the same as multiplying by its reciprocal. Like dividing 10 by 2 is the same as multiplying 10 by 1 over 2. Either way, you get 5. I'll use this fact to take advantage of the reciprocal key on our calculator. This will let us work the denominator first without having to retype long decimals into the calculator or risk rounding off too early. The denominator is the more complicated of the two expressions. That's why I want to work it first. We'll start with the quantity inside the parentheses in the denominator, 12 divided by 12.06. Hitting equals, we see that it's equal to about 0.99. This is the quantity we need to raise to the power of 360. Hitting equals, we see that that's about 0.17. This is a number we need to subtract from 1, so I'm going to change the sign to a negative and add it to the 1 to save myself from having to re-enter that whole long string of values into the calculator. Hitting equals, we see that the denominator is 0.83. We want to divide the numerator by this quantity, so we're going to use the trick of multiplying by its reciprocal. Hitting the reciprocal key, we see what 1 over 0.83 is equal to. And then we're going to multiply that by the numerator. So 320,000 times 0.06 over 12. Now, you can put the 0.06 over 12 in parentheses just to be on the safe side, but it will turn out to be the same in this case because there's no addition or subtraction, it's just multiplication and division. So the final result is $1,918.56. This is the same mortgage payment as we found using the table. Let's look at another way to enter this expression into your calculator using parentheses to order the operations. So once again, I'm going to start with the denominator, but this time I'm going to start with the 1. 1 minus, and now I'm going to use parentheses to tell the calculator what to do first. I need one set of parentheses for the 12 over 12.06, but I need a second set for the exponent. So I put 2 in, and then 12 divided by 12.06, close one of the sets of parentheses, and this is the number that I need to raise to the power, so x to the y, of 360. Close that set of parentheses. This is the number 0.166 that needs to be subtracted from the 1. So we hit equals to make that subtraction happen. Now I take the reciprocal. Instead of dividing by this number, I'm going to take the reciprocal and multiply it times the numerator. This time I'm going to use parentheses to emphasize that it's all one big numerator. 320,000 times another set of parentheses for the 0.06 divided by 12, close parentheses, equals, and we still get $1,918.56. If you haven't done so already, now's a good time to pause the video and try to evaluate this expression on your own calculator. Make sure to use the same calculator that you'll be using on any tests. Once you're comfortable entering this quantity into your calculator, press play, and then it will be your turn to try a similar exercise. Now it's your turn. Your challenge is to identify the expression that would have yielded the given monthly mortgage payment. Now the video will pause while you work out the solution. For best results, write your workout step by step on paper. When you're done, come back and select your answer. You chose option C. Let's check it out. We'll evaluate the expression on a calculator, but first, let's simplify the 12 plus 0.05 to 12.05 and the 12 times 20 to 240. Plugging into the calculator, we have 12 divided by 12.05 in the parentheses in the denominator equals, this is the number we need to raise to the power of 240, so we hit x to the y, 240. Equals, this is the number that we need to subtract from 1, so I'm going to change the sign to negative and add it to 1 so that I don't have to retype the whole thing. Plus 1 equals, this is the value in the denominator. I'm going to take the reciprocal of this value and multiply it times the numerator, rather than have to retype the whole number when I do the division. Times, in the numerator we have 200,000 times parenthesis 0.05 divided by 12, close parentheses. I have to hit equals to get the whole expression. $1,319.91. You got it. Fantastic. As you study, remember to use your resources. Read your ebook. Contact your professor when you need help. Ask your professor about tutoring on campus or online. Keep up the good work. You chose option B. Let's check it out. We'll evaluate the expression on a calculator, but first let's simplify the 12 plus 0.055 to 12.055 and multiply 12 times 20 to get 240. This just reduces the amount that we have to plug into the calculator. So now we're going to divide the parentheses in the denominator, 12 divided by 12.055 equals, and that's the quantity we need to raise to the power, x to the y, of 240, equals, this is the value we need to subtract from 1. So rather than type in 1 and subtracting and retyping all of that, I'm going to change this to a negative and add it to 1, equals the quantity in the denominator. I want to divide the numerator by this quantity, but instead I'm going to hit 1 over x and multiply it by the numerator. Again, this just saves me from having to retype or risk round-off errors. Multiplying by 160,000 times parenthesis 0.55 over 12 close parenthesis. You're going to see displayed the 0.55 divided by 12 value. That's not the answer. So what I need to do is hit equals to see that the regular monthly mortgage payment is $1,100.62. This option is incorrect. Let's try another exercise. Here's a tip. Make sure to use the calculator that you're going to use on tests and try working out the same example different ways to see what works best for you. You chose option A. Let's check it out. We'll plug this expression into our calculator, but first, let's simplify 12 plus 0.045 to get 12.045, and let's find the product 12 times 25, which is 300. Evaluating on our calculator, we'll start with the denominator. 12 divided by 12.045 is in the parentheses, so I'm going to enter that first. Equals, this is the number I need to raise to the power of 300. So I'm going to hit x to the y, 300, equals, this is the value I need to subtract from 1. So I change the sign to a negative and add it to the 1. That equals 0.67 approximately, which is the denominator. So I'm going to find the reciprocal and multiply it times the numerator. 220,000 times 0.045 divided by 12. The parentheses there are optional. Equals $1,222.83. This option is incorrect. Let's try another exercise. Here's a tip. Make sure to use the calculator that you're going to use on tests and try working out the same example different ways to see what works best for you. Try this one. Your challenge is to identify the false statement. Now the video will pause while you work out the solution. For best results, write your workout step by step on paper. When you're done, come back and select your answer. You chose option A. Let's check it out. First, let's simplify 12 plus 0.025 to 12.025 and 12 times 25 to 300. Then plug the expression into your calculator. Starting in the denominator inside the parentheses, we have 12 divided by 12.025. Hitting equals, we get the number that needs to be raised to the 300th power. Hitting x to the y, and then 300, and then equals, we get the value that needs to be subtracted from 1. So I'm going to change that to a negative value and add it to 1 to avoid having to retype. This is equal to the value in the denominator. Rather than retype and divide, I'm going to take the reciprocal and multiply by the numerator, which is 220,000 times parenthesis 0.025 divided by 12. You might have noticed this last set of parentheses is optional because we only have multiplication and division going on. This number that's displayed is just what's in the parentheses, so I have to make sure to hit equals to see that the regular monthly payment is $986 and approximately 96 cents. You got it. Fantastic. As you continue to study, remember to use your resources. Read your ebook. Contact your professor when you need help. Ask your professor about tutoring on campus or online. Keep up the good work. You chose option C. Let's check it out. First, let's simplify 12 plus 0.05 to 12.05 and 12 times 20 to 240. Then we'll plug the expression into the calculator. Starting in the denominator inside the parentheses, 12 divided by 12.05 equals about 0.9958. This is the number we need to raise to the power of 240. Hitting equals, we get the number we need to subtract from 1, but instead of doing that, I'm going to negate it and add it to 1 so I don't have to retype it. Plus 1 equals the number in the denominator. The numerator needs to be divided by that number, but instead I'm going to take the reciprocal and multiply by the numerator, 350,000 times parenthesis 0.05 divided by 12. Now when I close those parentheses, which by the way are optional, I get the number in the parentheses displayed, so I need to make sure to hit equals to see what the final value is. 2,309.85 approximately. So the expression actually does equal that value. This option is incorrect. If you feel like you're struggling, that is part of the learning process. The important thing is to keep working and take advantage of all the resources available to you. Read your ebook in detail. After you read an example, try to work it yourself without looking at the solution. Contact your professor. Ask your professor about tutoring on campus or online. Then come back and try this item again. You chose option B. Let's check it out. First, let's simplify 12 plus 0.055 to 12.055 and 12 times 30 to 360. Then we'll plug the expression into the calculator. In the denominator, in parentheses, we have 12 divided by 12.055. This is equal to about 0.995, which we need to raise to the power of 360. So x to the y to the 360th power gives us the value we need to subtract from 1. But rather than typing 1 and then subtraction and then retyping all of that, I'm going to change it to a negative and add it to 1. This is going to equal the number in the denominator. I'd like to divide the numerator by that, but instead, again to avoid retyping, I hit the reciprocal times the numerator, which is 160,000 times parentheses 0.055 divided by 12. These parentheses here are actually optional, but if you use them, notice that what's displayed is the value in the parentheses. You still have to hit equals in order to see the final value, 908 approximately 46. So this statement's actually true. This option is incorrect. If you feel like you're struggling, that's part of the learning process. The important thing is to keep working and take advantage of all the resources available to you. Read your ebook in detail. After you read an example, try to work it yourself without looking at the solution. Contact your professor. Ask your professor about tutoring on campus or online. Then come back and try this item again.